Today we're going to be looking at multiplying decimals, but before we move on to that, let's have a reminder of actual multiplication methods, because they are actually the same thing when it comes to multiplying decimals. So, what methods do we have for multiplying? What do we use? Yeah? Yes, you? Yeah. What kind of method? So what kind of written method? If I gave you a multiplication to do, so if I said, I don't know, 6 times 54, how would you do it?
I would put them as numbers out. I put 50 top 4 and 6. I draw a line under that and then add times them together and then put the first
So
one.
you're telling me you would use a compact method?
Yeah.
Yeah? So is there anybody in here that uses a different method to the compact method? Yes?
So I use the short method or the hardest method.
Yeah, the compact method.
Yeah.
Yeah? Anybody use a different one to that? Yeah?
Expanded.
Expanded. Okay. So, when we first start it, we do the grid method, don't we? Is anybody in here still using the grid method? No? I'm just going to show it quickly. Okay? So times in there will are 54. Okay, so that one. 6 times 50. Yeah?
300.
300. And then 6 times 4.
24.
24. And then what would we need to do with those two numbers? So with this one and this one, what would we need to do? Yes?
Add them up.
Add them up. So our answer would be 324. From that method, we then move on to the method that a couple of you are using, which is the expanded method. Okay, so it would be like so. We call this like the grid method without the grid really, because it is the next step on. So what we do first, we do 6 times 4, which we already know is 24. Then 6 times 50. 6 times 5, which is 30. So 6 times 50 is 300. So 4, 2, 3. And from there, we would move on to the method that some more of you are using. So, who'd like to talk me through how we do this one? Yeah?
So you do 6 times 4,
Yeah?
which is 24. So you put the 4 there, and then you put the 2 up there.
Okay?
And you do 6 times 5, which is obviously 30, but it's 50, so that's 300.
Yeah.
Then you do add 2,
Yeah.
so that's 320.
With this one, we don't need to worry about the whole 500 thing. We just do literally, don't we? 6 times 5 is 30, then add on the 2, which is
32, and then
32.
324.
So the same answer. Okay? Now, nothing changes as such when we are multiplying decimals. Okay? The only thing you have to remember is where your decimal point is, because the decimal point always stays in the same place. Okay, so if that wasn't 6 times 54, but was instead 6 times 5.4. Okay, exactly the same thing. So if you're going to use an expanded method, well, the grid method first actually, so what we would do this time with the grid method is we would put our 5 in there and our 0.4 in there. Okay, does that make sense so far? Yeah? Then we would do our 6 times 5, which is 30. And then we would do our 6 times 0.4. Now, we could just do 6 times 4, which is 24, isn't it? Which we said before. But, how many decimal places have we got here? How many numbers are there on this side of the decimal point, in other words? Yeah?
1.
1. So we need to make sure that this answer also has 1. So we start from this side and we put our decimal point there. Does that make sense? Yeah? And then we do the same thing, we add those up. So 30 plus 2.4 equals 32.4. Yeah? Happy with that? Yeah. Okay. Then, the expanded method. Okay, we do 6 times 0.4, which we know is 2.4. And then we will just do as normal. You can put your decimal point there as well if it helps to remember. Put a 0 there. 6 times 5 is 30. Then add those. Okay, so those that are using the expanded method, does that look okay? Yeah? Now the compact method, very similar. Okay. This time we would do 6 times 4, not 0.4, just 6 times 4. Okay, 6 times 4, which is 24. We would put our 4 there. Okay, and we carry our 2 as normal. But what we need to do is that. Yeah? So put the decimal point down there, in line where it is, with that one there, and that's really important, that they have to be in line. Okay? Now, 6 times 5 is 30, and then what do we need to do with our 2?
Add it on the
Add it
30
on.
32.
So it's exactly the same. Okay? There is another way you can do it. You can pretend that it's 54 and just do as a normal multiplication for the compact. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 5 is 30 plus 2. But then we need to put our decimal place back in. So how many decimal places has it got? It's got 1. There we go. So you have a choice there, 2 different ways of doing it. Okay, does that make sense? Excellent, we're going to have lots of practice with this now, so hopefully it will become really clear once you've done the practice.